this video today, I'm going to speak about how to be a better sports science intern. Now, I've had a lot of internships and I've gained a lot of experience over the years, but there were certain things that I didn't do very well in the early days. And this video corresponds nicely to a previous video that I did, which speaks about simple things you should be doing as a sports science intern. So there's some very basic stuff, but I'm going to speak about some more advanced stuff now in terms of areas I went wrong and hopefully what you can learn from me in your own internships. Firstly, I want to speak about consistency. So this is a difficult one because when you're at university, you don't have to be consistent every single day of your studies. As long as you get your work in at the end of the semester, the deadline, whenever that is, that's okay. You don't have to be on it every single day. Also, when you're doing your placements, as I've said before, at Sunday League level, at lower levels, you don't have to be at your best every time. You can be a few minutes late, you can make little mistakes here or there, and you're not really scrutinized. It's a lower level, no problem. This has happened, that's happened. Not really a big deal. But the flip side is, it doesn't train you very well for the future because when you work at higher levels of sport, you get your internships, whichever level, whichever sport that may be, the standard does rise and you make little mistakes that you were making before, but now you're getting hammered for it. And for me, I'm not trying to paint myself as a bad intern. I think I was okay, but now and again, there were times where my standards would drop a little bit. I'd have 3 or 4 days a week where I did everything that was expected of me, did okay, did a good job. Maybe like 1 or 2 days, I was a bit slow to react to something, I was a little bit late doing a session, little things would creep in. And this is a quote from one of my early mentors, an amazing mentor, taught me a lot. And this is something that really stuck with me, even now. You can't just raise your game when you feel like it. We had a progress meeting, and there was a quote along those lines saying that, yeah, 3 or 4 days a week, you're on it, and then one day you slip off. You can't do that at this level. You're in professional sport now. This isn't uni. This isn't lower levels of amateur sport. You have to be on it every single day. So what I'd say to you is when you go into these placements at higher levels, learn about the standards of the company. Now, this isn't a question you might ask naively on your first day. It's more visual. You're looking around. What are people doing? What's the level you're working with? And with that in mind, I then start to create daily goals, lists at the start of the internship. You don't want to walk around with a big sheet of paper every single day if you're there for a year, a season. But at the start, I'd maybe have a bit of a list. What do I need to do every day? My timings, my everything. What do I need to be doing to do the job well? And also mirror the attitude of those around you. So looking at the head of the department, looking at the players, different departments at the team, it's everything. What are they doing that makes that organization so successful? I learned so much from players, not just sports science staff, but I've been lucky to be around some high quality athletes, and you can see what makes them so good at what they do. A lot of that is consistency. Secondly, this is how I felt in my early internships. So in that inner circle there is the staff, the fully paid, full-time employees of the club, and I felt like the person on the outside. I shouldn't have felt that way. You are there to contribute. As an intern, don't just see yourself as being on the periphery and just standing there being silent. Don't get involved. You're there for a good reason. And you have relevant qualifications for that. So you finish your degree or you're doing the degree, you might have additional qualifications on the side. So you are there for a reason. So take your time to find ways to be innovative. Now, that might be putting pressure on you. I'm not saying from day one you have to find ways to really stand out as an intern and have these incredible ideas. These ideas are light bulb moments that you might have whilst you're there. And I spoke to a manager, Premier League manager, a couple of seasons ago, and I was really curious about one of his members of staff in the sports science department. For the 2 or 3 teams he was at in a period of time, he took this guy to each club. And I said, why? And he spoke about the first day he came in as an intern, this guy, and the quotation was along these lines. He was innovative. He found gaps in our methods and he strengthened them. So even though he was an intern, he was going in there and finding ways to improve the club. And that's why that person was kept on, and that's why this person is now head of sports science at a Premier League football team. So I'll give you one example. I wasn't innovative enough, but this is one time I was. One team that I was at as an intern, I noticed that in very hot conditions, very cold conditions, the substitutes weren't prepared very well. and I had a real passion for environmental physiology. So I put together a program such as hot, cold drinks, hand warmers, ice packs, all these sort of things that, depending on the weather, these substitutes felt prepared and felt ready to come on the pitch. Now, that was one idea, but I didn't do that often enough because my early stages of my career, I felt like a competition winner. I was at these big teams. I was going to visit a big club. Like, wow, like this is amazing. I felt like Charlie Bucket. I was the kid who had the golden ticket. So you need to shake off that mentality. You might think it's great to be at these clubs, and it is, but you're there for a reason. Even if you're a fan of the club, whatever it may be, you're there to do a job. So remember, you're not a passenger. You might be an intern that's got 5, 10 years less experience than those around you in the room, but you're there to contribute. You're doing your degree. You've got qualifications. You're there for a very good reason. Finally, I want to speak about complacency. So to be a better intern and to increase chances of getting that full-time employment, good salary, more comfort in your career, you can't be complacent at this level. I get called Roy Keane by a couple of my friends, so I don't really celebrate anything positive that happens to me. Um, I just say very much like Roy Keane, well, that's my job. That's what I should be doing. But there's a reason for that. It's a learning curve. When I got my first big opportunity at Leicester Tigers, I was complacent. I worked really hard to get there, good attitude, and I got to Leicester and thought, I might have made it, but in terms of where I wanted to be, that was the pinnacle. That was the team I supported. It was my hometown club, the biggest team in rugby union at the time, and still remains one of the biggest clubs in the world. So for me, it was like that competition win. That was I almost feel like I've made it really in this industry. Big reality check though. It's only a year's internship. I'm going to be out the door soon, so I need to look at other jobs. And I was rejected many, many times at other strength and conditioning positions. Smaller clubs, I thought, I'm walking to this. I've been at a big club this season, and it wasn't a great feeling. So I really should have looked back earlier and started to plan for my future rather than getting too complacent, maybe believing the hype a little bit. So my advice based on my mistakes is don't stand still in that sort of position. You might get a dream position, you might go into something that is amazing. Don't stand still though, and take the praise. It's great. You're working at a big club. You're getting praise from people, pats on the back. You might get praise within the job from people that you're working with. But enjoy it. Enjoy the moment when someone's saying you're doing a good job. But work on your weaknesses as well. Gain that feedback. Where am I going wrong? What do I need to work on for the next job to have a good chance of being employed? And that relates to my final point. What are the next steps? So that's what I've said in previous videos. Look at job adverts. Look at any information you can get. What do you need to do to be employable? The internship's one thing, but it's the next step of being in a full-time job and shaking off that intern mentality. So you need to think about that. So the key points from this video would be high standards, daily basis. Don't do 3 or 4 days and be happy with that and think, well, it gives me a license to kind of slack off a bit now because I've done so well. Every day has to be a high standard, high effort levels. Contribute. I just said a second ago, shake off the intern mentality. I went wrong massively with that. I was that competition winner. It was, I'm just happy to be here. It's all wrong. You need to contribute. You need to find ways, gaps in the market that you can put your stamp on it. And don't get ahead of yourself. If you are fortunate enough to go to your dream environment, a great environment for a short period of time, it's a short period of time. It's not forever. You're going to have to keep working. There's always another ladder to climb in order to make the next step. Okay, so that was my video on how to be a better sports science intern. If you're applying for internships, if you're currently within an internship and you want to discuss this further with me, please get in touch. The usual channels here on the right-hand side. Okay, thanks for listening, and I'll speak to you again soon.